Hello and welcome back to the Trademark Sports Podcast. I know I've had a little bit of a hiatus the last couple of weeks. Life has been busy, but look, I'm all about the grind. We are back for another week, coming to you live at 8 p.m. on a Wednesday night because that's just what I do for you guys. Just got to pump out the content. Today, we're going to be back in with some Origin chat because it is that time of the year, obviously. I've also very excitedly got the Under-19 State of Origin coming up tomorrow night or tonight or last night, as of when you are listening to this. And then just, I'm going to talk about something that's sort of a little bit fishy that I've found lately, just going on like the last couple of weeks that I've sort of realised, basically, what's going on with Lockie Galvin. And also the diving in the NRL has become increasingly annoying for myself. So I'm just going to basically come up with a way to fix the diving, go into my tips, and then we've got a bunch of questions from you guys. So big episode, strap yourself in, go get yourself a cuppa, and yeah, just buckle up and get excited basically. Alright, let's start off with the State of Origin preview, I guess. Basically, I just want to talk about like the Origin ins and outs and my thoughts about them from either side. We'll start with the Blues. So big ins, we have Dylan Edwards, Latrell, Mitch Moses and Cameron Murray, and Connor Watson coming into the side, with James Tedesco, Joseph Suaalii, Nicho Hynes, Cameron McInnes and Hudson Young being left out. Now, we'll start with Dylan Edwards. Obviously, I think like he was the first choice of fullback for the Blues. So I'm glad that he's getting his shot. I was a little bit concerned that him being left out meant that like Teddy was going to come in and absolutely destroy it, and that meant that Dylan Edwards was never going to get a run because like next year you've got a Turbo fit or even like a Pappy, that sort of thing. Like something was going to happen, and I thought Dylan Edwards was never going to get his shot, but he is there for game 2, and I'm very excited by that. I think he doesn't have the weight of the world on his shoulders like James Tedesco does. In terms of Tedesco's out, like it's almost everything just got a little bit too complicated for him. I'll talk about James Tedesco just a little bit later, but I'm excited to see what Dylan Edwards brings. I think we're really going to be able to go to that game plan of just we're going to make 1,000 meters with our back 5 minus the troll, and that's okay. We'll talk about him in a second. But yeah, I'm just really excited and very happy for Dylan Edwards that he is going to be playing Origin. The little boy from Dorrigo, hey? Next off, we have Latrell Mitchell coming into the side. He's just an Origin footballer. One of those players that just has it in him. Excited to see how he goes. I think, from his story that he posted watching Origin 1, I think he's ready to go. Obviously, I feel like him playing centre is a lot better in terms of just the fact that it just allows him to be energetic and full of running when he does get the ball. He's not going to be a guy... I could probably see Stephen Crichton make 150 to 200 metres with the ball, just in terms of carries. I'm not going to say that from Latrell Mitchell. That's not his kind of player. Not kind of player he is. It's not his role in the team. His role is to be the X factor on the edge, make his tackles, hopefully, because we really need our edge defence short up. I'd like to see him play on the left side. I think, thinking back, he played left side for the Roosters. Joey Manu was right centre, I think, anyway. And Stephen Crichton plays on the right at Clubland and goes really well there. So, and thinking back as well, Tom Trbojevic was right-sided centre when him and Trell played like in the centres in Origin. So I would like to see Latrell Mitchell be picked at left centre anyway. And then we have Mitch Moses coming in. I think it's an obvious choice. I honestly probably would have liked to see him in a game 1, probably a little bit underdone. I think in the 2 times he's played Origin, he's been fantastic. Once was with a broken back and once was in a dead rubber game 3. And he just, he's quick, he's live with the ball, he gets things going, which we don't often see. That was the problem in game 1. There was just nothing happening. Everything was so slow, so orchestrated. And you saw with that Cherry Evans intercept that you can see what's happening from a mile away. They know what's coming, and it adds that certain element of uncertainty to the Queensland defence, which I'm really, really excited for. Cameron Murray at 13, he's the best 13 we've got. Really plays the game really, really quickly, and I think he's really suits a Madge game plan for what we want to do, roll through that middle. I'm thinking that's the plan anyway. Then Connor Watson at 14 is an interesting pick. Personally, I would have had Matt Burton. Pretty tough on Matt Burton not to get picked when he's 18th man and then he gets dropped completely out of the squad. But Connor Watson is a guy that can cover the outside backs, halves, hooker, 13. Incredible versatility. And his guy has been really, really good for the Roosters so far and has been super impressive. So I'm really excited to see how he goes in Origin. And look, as the saying goes, if in doubt, go hot. Nah, I'm from Hello Sport. So we've certainly gone hot with those last two picks, Cameron Murray and Connor Watson. Now, for the James Tedesco, obviously, I mean, didn't do anything necessarily wrong. Didn't do anything necessarily right. Coming out of our own end, I should say, was really good. But other than that, like in attack, I think he just got in the way a little bit of Paul Gallen vibes before he was not picked for Origin anymore. He just wants to be in everything, almost too much. His run pass decision making wasn't very good. A lot of times he should have run when he passed. A lot of times he passed when he should have run. And I think that was just him trying too hard, in a sense. Joseph Swiley, obviously suspended, not going to be there, unfortunately. Nico Hines, just lacking that cutting edge for Origin. Cameron McInnes, very, very hard done by to not get picked again. 41 tackles, 0 missed in 48 minutes of Origin football and getting dropped from the team. Very, very unlucky. And Hudson Young, he just wasn't up to it. So that sort of makes sense there. Interesting picks though. Isaiah Yeo still in the squad. He needs to be picked as just a front rower. He needs to stop passing the ball. Very, very slow. Very slow. Very predictable. Very orchestrated. I don't like him playing Origin, if I'm honest. But hey, I'll back him while he's there. I do think there's a very good player in Isaiah Yeo. Don't get me wrong. But yeah, look, something needs to change for him. I'm not sure what it's going to be. But yes, it certainly needs to be done. And then we go to the Warriors. The Maroons. So we got Felice Kafusi, Kurt Capewell coming in. Into camp, Dane Gagai, Hillam Lukey, and Trent Liero. Yep, let's start with that. Felice Kafusi, old head, makes sense. Kurt Capewell, been carrying a lot of injuries this year. Hasn't been in great form. Very interesting pick. That's the 5th second rower they've picked over David Fifita now this series. And then going on, you've got Dane Gagai. I guess he's been playing some really good footy for the Knights, but like, he's 18th man. I get it. He's an extra cover, I guess, if there's a HIA or something goes down, because they don't really have that versatility on the bench because there's no Sultan Cobbo. Then you've also got Hillam Lukey coming in. He's obviously for the experience. The 6th second rower that Queensland have picked over David Fifita this series. And then Trent Liero. Interesting. I feel like Billy might be losing touch with that pick. Respectfully to Trent Liero, probably like to be playing first grade some weeks. Obviously, he's improved a lot this year. I like him as that 13, that middle player. I think he's better suited there to the edge. But even still, Queensland, not so sure. Or again, the 7th player just picked in the same position as David Fifita. Don't know what he did to Billy Slater, but that's tough. And then out, Jane Hopgood injured. Sultan Cobbo, inconsistent story with Sultan Cobbo. Apparently injured, apparently not. A lot going on. Didn't play very good against the Rabbitohs. I'm not so sure what the story is there. Getting dropped for Origin. They play 3 games a year. Like, if you're good enough, you're getting picked. If you're fit enough. So, yeah, look, I'm not sure what the story is there. But, hey, I'm sure Billy Slater's got it covered. Just on Origin as well. Very, very gross Origin stat. So, in the 30... What are we up to now? Oh, we're up to 44 years of State of Origin. Since 1980, as we know, like State of Origin is not now. The Blues have used 317 players, so look, a fair few. In the exact same amount of time, Queensland have used 232, so almost 100 less. I hate that. It just reminds me of the days of the 8 in a row where the Blues picked like 19 different halves partners in that time period. Just yuck. All right, let's talk about some Origin that the Blues have a bit more success in. Under 19 State of Origin, Thursday night. Very, very excited for these young fellas. The ones to watch for the Blues. We've seen this guy in the NRL, Chevy Stewart. Like, his reserve grade highlights and everything are nuts. Like, this guy is seriously insane at rugby league. Last year in the under 19s game, probably didn't have his best game. And then in the NRL hasn't really stood out as of yet, but he just, like, a little bit of polish to his game, and it's going to happen for him. Like, he's 19. Give him time. Like, you guys like your Reece Walshes and that sort of thing that come in at 19 and set the world alight, they're anomalies. Chevy Stewart has an incredible career ahead of him, and I feel like this game is going to be where he really, like, people start to go, I get it. Then you got the McLean brothers, Penrith production line, centre wing combo, like, super tall, super athletic. We've already seen Jesse McLean play some NRL. Casey McLean will not be very far off. They're going to be household names in the not-too-distant future. Hayden Buchanan, centre from like Illawarra area, down at Gerringong. So, the likeness of like Ruben Garrick and Tyron Wishart and Jackson Ford in the NRL at the moment. But Hayden Buchanan is a player that I've never seen anyone like him. He's lightning quick on his feet. Like his acceleration, his in and aways are seriously second to none. Great footy IQ, really good defensively too. Like he's pretty much a well-rounded centre. So like already at 19, really excited to see him get a crack on the big stage. Then you've got halfback Mitch Woods. Okay, this guy was scouted by like everyone, every single like club entity wanted him basically around Australia. And look, here's the thing, he's a gun. The Bulldogs, they obviously have identified him and as someone that they want. And I think he's like their long-term 7. Really excited to see him play. Then front rower, his name is Loco Pacifica Tonga. He's huge, bigger than Payne Haas. Came through the Queensland education system, because I know the Dragons picked him up from Ipswich High, I believe. So, interesting to see whether his eligibility actually is the Blues or whatnot, if he does make State of Origin later down the track, but he's a gun. You've also got Matt Arthur first, hooker from the Parramatta Eels. Yes, Brad Arthur's son. He's the good Arthur son. Respectfully to Jacob. Obviously, Jacob's a very good footballer in his own right, and a lot better than I ever will be, but Matt Arthur could be the next number 9 that we see for a long time over at Parramatta. And then Blake Steep, we've obviously seen him play for the Roosters, certified gun. I think he'll carve up. Did just hear that maybe because he got picked for the Roosters on the weekend, he might not be playing this game, which would be super unfortunate if that is the case. But surely he can just back up. It'd be like next week the All Origin Stars will play club football again. And then Jacob Halungu, another Dragons junior. Just getting him in the matches in everything he plays, shining. I think he's going to be great off the bench for the Blues. And then for Queensland, Jackson Purdue, already made his debut for the Cowboys, so like just going to be a superstar. Israel Leota for the Broncos, another outside back there, just on that production line that the Broncos have got. He's certainly one to watch. Kobe Black, now I'm pretty sure he played, it was like Wingham Manly, or I can't remember who he's playing for, but he was part of that 130-0 game in Melbourne Inga Cup this year, and he scored like 50 of those points himself. So he's obviously quite talented. Dila Salva'a, huge boy. Obviously brother of Xavier Va'a, who we saw play in this game, I think 2 years ago it was. So those two coming through for the Roosters. Look, obviously with Joe Hargraves, their front row stock is going to be a bit diminished, but they've got these Va'a boys coming through. Like, they obviously rate them so much. I think he's going to be certainly one to watch. Wrecking Ball probably will score a try. And then Jamal Shibasaki, we've seen him play for the Cowboys as well this year. I seriously don't know how that bloke's 18. He's huge and scary man. Okay, so one thing, let's talk a little bit about Lockie Galvin now. A lot of chatter coming out about the fact that he wants out of the Tigers. Now, obviously, there's been stuff. This is like long-standing. So, he asked for a release from the Tigers in pre-season. Allegedly, apparently, according to the grapevine, rumour has it. He's then obviously made his debut under Benji. Great place to learn if you're a rookie half. But obviously, he's heard some whispers from Penrith, I believe, about that they want him as their half, like their 6 long term, with Jerome Luai obviously leaving the club, going to the Tigers. I think he's a bit frustrated that there's been so many halves brought in front of him, because it probably obviously promised him the world behind closed doors. Allegedly, according to the rumour mill on the grapevine, he had wasn't very happy after the Dragons lost when they've got 56 put on them by the Dragons, which you wouldn't be happy. I was at this game, waited outside the players' gate, and Tigers players obviously didn't look happy. But they also didn't look like Lockie Galvin had just gone off in the changing room saying he can't wait to get out of there. But it's one of those things, I feel like when there's smoke, there's fire. It's tough if you're the Tigers, because you obviously got this gun kid who, to quote the great rugby league guru, could be anything. But you also don't want players who don't want to be at the club. You've got Jerome Luai coming in. You've got Latu Fainu there. Do you just let Lockie Galvin go? Obviously, you want compensation, and you could probably get someone else from Panthers coming through. You could get that young Trent Tolau, who's just made his debut recently. Gun half, he's got 1 million tries and all that sort of stuff in the last this year. They've also got their halfback, played for Queensland 19s last year. His name escapes me, but he's also a gun. He's in their New South Wales Cup. He's going to be like a freak. So, look, much like it's not exactly like for like, but when you're the Tigers and the club at the way they're going at the moment, you want guys who want to wear that jersey. So, if Lockie Galvin's going to be a problem in the change rooms and the dressing sheds, you might have to just let him go. The other thing that I want to talk about is, in the NRL, there's an increasing amount of diving, and I hate it. Obviously, the great game of rugby league we all fell in love with was blokes just bashed into each other, super tough. Then you got all these guys now laying down, like claiming penalties. Manly do it a lot through DCE and a guy like Ruben Garrick. And then you've also got at the Dragons recently. Obviously, I watch a lot of Dragons games. Being a Dragons fan, Kyle Flanagan is really good for it. Who else? There's been ones recently. I mean, Gutho and Moses are always hands up in the air, waving them like they just don't care. At every single opportunity, trying to get a penalty for the Eels, and it's super frustrating to watch. But I feel like something that NRL could introduce is that if you stay down, for a penalty, for a crusher, for a head high, anything like that, at a minimum, you then have to go off and get assessed. Well, not even get assessed, because HI is 15 minutes, that sort of thing. And the games, a lot can happen in 15 minutes, as we saw from the Dragons on the weekend against Manly, with Kyle Flanagan being set for HIA. I feel like a punishment, in a sense, is a player has to go off and be looked over by a trainer for a minimum of one defensive set, like one full defensive set and one full attacking set. So at a minimum, 2 minutes. If a player goes down and play on tackle 4 of an attacking set, then you've got to have the rest of the attacking set off, and then a full defensive set and a full attacking set. I think that way, it incentivizes players to stay on the field. Yes, I guess teams are defending with 12 men for 10 minutes all the time now with the sin bin and that sort of thing. So they are used to it, but it's annoying, if anything, for the players, because they don't have that continuity and those players on the field all the time. And then, hey, if this player comes off for that 2 minutes and he's not right, then he gets sent for HIA. These sort of things, they've got to do something about it, because it's just becoming all the time, man. And that's the thing. You could have 3 plays in a row where this player's taking a dive, there's no penalty, you're off. So then you've got 10 players for 2 sets. Obviously, the clubs aren't really going to care, I guess, if a player's off for 2-3 minutes, but something's got to be done about it. It's just making the game tough to watch, especially when there's guys who if the ref hasn't seen the penalty on the field, too bad. Refs are human, they're going to make mistakes, they're going to miss stuff, and you can't have, if the bunker's going to be ruling on all the calls, you might as well just not have a ref on the field and just have the bunker microscoping absolutely everything. And then every time there's a little bit of an infringement, it's a penalty, and we'll have a penalty count of 40 to 30 in the first 20 minutes, because if you wanted to, you could go through every single tackle and probably find something that's wrong with it. Some sort of penalty, someone doing something that is against the rulebook of rugby league, because it's about that thick. But it is taking away from what the game of rugby league really is, and what we've kind of come to know and love with rugby league. So, yeah, I'm not sure what Peter V'landys and Andrew Abdul are going to cook up. Probably nothing, but I do think something needs to be done about all the player diving at the moment. All right, now that rant's over, let's talk about my tips for Origin round now. It is Origin week. What I'm going to do is tip the exact opposite of who I think will win, because last time it was Origin round, I got 1 out of 5 and moved up 40,000 places on ESPN Footy Tips, because that many people got 0. So watch me now get 0. So we've got the Dolphins versus Storm. To be honest, I probably would have tipped the Dolphins here. They've played really, really well without a lot of their superstars in there. I don't think, however, the Storm losing that many players to Origin this year. It's literally just not Cameron Munster. He's already out. Harry Grant. Now, I know the Storm are favourites, whatever. But I probably would have tipped the Dolphins here. So the Storm is who I'm going for. We've got the Titans versus the Warriors. Tipping the Titans. I think the Warriors will win. That's why I'm tipping the Titans. And then with Roosters versus Bulldogs. Roosters obviously have a lot of players out through to State of Origin. You've also got Stephen Crichton for the Bulldogs. But I'm tipping the Bulldogs here because I would have ordinarily tipped the Roosters. Now, this one does hurt my soul. Rabbits versus Manly. Obviously, Rabbits without Latrell Mitchell and Cameron Murray. Manly without everyone. Tipping Manly does hurt the soul a little bit. And then Tigers versus Raiders at Campbelltown. Tigers notoriously suck there, but hopefully they're cracking the streak here because I'm tipping the Tigers. I'll see you next week when I've gone 0 from 5. Okay, let's get into your questions. First one is from Oscar Lake 29. What is my State of Origin prediction? Obviously, I do think the Blues bounce back. They're going to really... it's one of those things that... because there's potential for a decider to come on, you sort of get a little bit worried that some things might get skewed so that companies make their money. But I really do think the Blues will win. I think it's going to be tight again. 18-14, New South Wales. There you go. That is my prediction there. Bray Lee's 3 asks, thoughts on the Dragons season so far? I feel like I get asked this question every single podcast, and the answer is pretty much the same. But what I'm going to say, right, the last 2 weeks sum up the Dragon season so well. 56-14 against the Tigers after being down 14-12 at halftime. Then turning around against Manly, being up at halftime and losing to a team that had 13 fit players. That's the Dragons. That's the Dragons that we're gonna know for probably this season, potentially next season. And then if it's like that moving forward, then we've got issues. Dragons play one good half of footy a week, and obviously we like to play them to play a full 80. We'll get there. We'll get there. Consistency is obviously the issue at the moment. That comes from a lot of players who weren't upheld to standards for a long time. So there's a culture change and that sort of thing. And it's going to happen. Like, let's be real, the Dragons roster on paper isn't fantastic. You've got a lot of players playing above not their pay grade essentially, but like playing above their weight in terms of who we've come to know them as NRL players. For example, Raymond Talamara is having his best season in NRL in a long time. Tom Eisenhuth, people were like, why do we need him? He's been one of our most important players this year. Kyle Flanagan, people were saying was washed and done, played really well this year. So I think I'd like to see some more consistency from the Dragons, but we've already won more games this year than we did in 2023, so I'll take it. Ebbs and flows. Okay, Cameron_McGregor_ has asked, thoughts on the Tigers? Now, obviously it's tough. They've won 2 spoons in a row. It looks like they're going to go on and win a third because their form has been pretty awful so far this year. But the thing with the Tigers is, have a look at the ages of the players on their roster. There's so many like 19 to 21, 22-year-olds. They're going to be fine. I think like it's hard. You're just going to keep this crop of players together under Benji, and it's just be patient. Like, I know you want to start seeing some results on the field. You won 2 of the first 4 games of the season, and you're looking pretty good. I think that's the potential that's there. You just got these rookies who are new to the NRL. Like, you just need some more leaders in that dressing room, and you've got Jerome Lower coming in next year. You've got Taruva, who hasn't played that much NRL himself, but he has more experience than these other guys coming from that Penrith system. I do think the skeleton of a successful Tigers team is there. It's just going to need a couple years to come through. If you can keep a guy like Lockie Galvin, fantastic. Like Latu Fanu's there. Talent Silva is going to be a gun. Dream Bull is still only young. And as I said, you've got like Isaiah Papali'i's leaving. You're getting rid of the players that don't want to be there. John Bateman's a gun. Fanua Pole is going to be a freak. Stefano, if he wants to stay there, look, his potential is certainly there. You've got these other guys coming through that debuted. Oh, what's his name? The big fella that debuted on the weekend, and Heath Mason. Like, there's potential at the Tigers. A couple of years, talking about a finals team. Now, the second one is basically from 2 people asking the same thing. Luke Bolton has just said Damien Cook to our beautiful Dragons, and then Stephen Large _ one of the great last names of all time, said, thoughts on St. George signing a washed Damien Cook and dropping Little to 14 now. When I first saw Damien Cook linked to the Dragons, I was like, no, thank you. I don't want it. let someone else have him. He's old and has just... You can just see in 2 years him being injured and whatnot because of his age. What I will say is... So on 500k a year, which for a hooker, that average, not that much. Also, who said Little was playing 14? Little has been fantastic, and given the fact that he's only developing and that Damien Cook is aging out, Cook might come off the bench. Cook can also teach Jacob Little everything that he has to know about playing dummy half. They're pretty similar players in a sense where they're quite run first, decent service, decent defenders. Bring him home. Because he's a Dragons player now, I'm going to back him to the very end. But is it the wisest use of our money? Potentially not. Do we also have a backup dummy half if Jacob Little goes down? No. It's a weak spot in the squad. We're strengthening that up. Whether or not you like it or not, Damien Cook has been a rep player in the last couple of years, and he's a good player. And he's going to give these younger guys that in the club, because we've got a couple of decent young dummy halves coming through, some guidance and some mentorship. Could pay dividends in the long run. Then we have a question from Spike.Luke. It said, should Teddy have been picked after his game 1 performance? Again, as I said before, didn't really do anything to deserve to get dropped. But when you got Dylan Edwards knocking on the door, okay, let's just say this. If Teddy was picked originally and didn't come in late, I would have said, look, he probably didn't do anything to be dropped. But the fact that he came in late didn't wow me. I'm not all too shocked that he didn't get picked. And look, I'm not too sad about the fact he didn't get picked. Next question is from Oscar_Melody06. Now, I've changed this question up a little bit. He said, if I could sign anyone to the Dragons, who would it be? But I've just said, if I could sign one player to a club, who would it be? Look, the question, the answer to this question for me for a long time has always been Nathan Cleary. He's 25, 26, won heaps, best halfback in the game. Most important position on the field is halfback. However, I think I'm changing my mind now to Reece Walsh. He's 22, potentially the best fullback in the game. If not now, he will be in a couple of years. And his marketability is crazy. Now, if I'm thinking about this, I'm thinking about this question from terms of a CEO. Marketability, eyes on the club, sponsorships, money, profitability, increasing the amount of money you can put through to facilities and your juniors and basically developing a dynasty. I'm going to be taking Reece Walsh every day of the week. Obviously, Nathan Cleary is certainly not unmarketable. He absolutely is. But I just think Reece Walsh is the biggest superstar in the game at the moment. I feel I think he's got more followers himself than a lot of football clubs and that sort of thing. When Reece Walsh plays, eyes are on. So yeah, the answer to the question is Reece Walsh. And Logan.Humphreys1, who Humphreys is spelled the same as Jamie Humphreys, so relation, potentially. Because he's asked, what are my thoughts on the Manly lineup for this week? It is so gross. Let's go through it. Lehigh Hopewadi will be fullback, I believe. Yes, because Tonja Wojcicki is back after they had the bye next round, I think. Could be wrong. But you got Jason Saab on the wing. That's fine. Tolu Kula, fine. Aaron Schott coming in for his Manly debut. Hopefully that works out well for him. Tommy Talau been great this year. Luke Brooks as captain. 7. Carl Lawton. Never thought I'd ever say that in my life, but here we are. Jamie Humphreys is named 21. Probably would have picked him, to be honest. Then Ethan Bullymore starting front row is yucky. Jake Simpkin, he was really good on the weekend. Toff Sipley named even though his MCO was cooked. Corey Waddell, Ben Trbojevic is second row, pretty uninspiring. Nathan Brown as lock and co-captain. So both their co-captains have been there only this year. Then you got Gordy coming off the bench. Not too bad. He was okay. Ben Condon, decent. Caleb Navali, I believe this may be his NRL debut. His gun. Played for Fiji in the Pacific Championship last year. Young fella. He's got a big future ahead of him. And then Atasi James, who I believe is making his club debut, brought over from the Tigers. Big unit. So, look, it's pretty much a reserve grade squad, but hey, let's see. See what happens. And then we've got second last question from Oscar_Verdon3. Says, double-parted question. So, is Critter signing of the year? Plus, what is my prediction to where the Dragons will finish on the ladder? So, is Critter signing of the year? Yes. And not just for what he brings on the football field. I'm going to quickly look up his stats. But what I've been super impressed with Stephen Crichton is his leadership. Now, he was named captain at the start of the year for the Bulldogs, and I thought, what? Like, is this just one of those things that they've promised a guy so he can come over from the Panthers and get this big signing and stuff? But far out, he's been fantastic. Like, even you saw against, I believe it was the Eels on King's birthday, and he's got everyone in a huddle. He's played 112 games, 62 tries. That's a pretty good record. So yeah, he's got them all in the huddle, and then sort of set up a play basically, and they nearly scored off the scrum, and then the next set they scored off that play that he was basically talking about. His leadership, the boys, the Bulldogs obviously listened to him. I think he's bought into what Cameron Ciraldo has brought to the Bulldogs, which has then meant that all the other players who idolise and look up to Critter have bought into that system. Great defensively, leading that, like, they're the best defensive team in the comp, and that's an absolute fact. Stephen Crichton by far and away is the best signing of the year. 6 tries, 4 try assists, 10 try involvements in 12 games for the Bulldogs is fantastic. He's really, he has been, honestly, outstanding. He's halfway through the year, he's on track to hit the exact same stats that he was going to at the Panthers, apart from last year where he was ridiculous. So that shows you what you need to know. He's going to a team that's been bottom 4 the last couple of years, and his stats haven't dropped off. Pretty impressive. Now, where do I think the Dragons are going to finish? I think they won't stray much from where they are at the moment. They're 11th at the moment. They're going to win some games, they're going to lose some games. I don't think they're going to win enough games to make the 8. I don't think they'll lose enough games to drop down too far. They'll finish between 10th and 12th, I feel like, which is pretty on par for that club. And then last question is from Leo_King_, and he says, thoughts on Ethan Strange? He says, I think he could be the Blues, 6 from next year. Next year may be a little bit fresh, but dude can play football. Because he's at the Raiders, it doesn't get talked about as much, because the Raiders are pretty uninspiring to watch. But every time I see him play, he just gets better and better. Really, wears his heart in his sleeve, passion, can defend really well, has that X factor, and backs himself when the moment comes up. If there's half a chance, he's gone after it, he's going to try and take it. Compared to a lot of players at his age who would probably second guess themselves and just hand it off to someone else, someone more experienced. Looks to take the grain by the scruff of the neck, and I really do enjoy the way that Ethan Strange plays footy. So, there we have it. We made it to the end of another episode of the Trademark Sports Podcast. If you have made it this far, let me know what your origin prediction is down in the comments, and then say next to it, just say Trademark. So if you're a Queensland fan, you think they're going to win 12-10, Queensland 12-10 Trademark. If you're on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, leave a 5-star rating. Make sure to download the episode as well. It helps us out more than you know. Drop a thumbs up, leave it subscribe, all that good stuff over on YouTube, and I will see you next week. Go the Blues.